Celebrated every year on August 7th. It's National Purple Heart Day, and it's all about the Purple Heart and the recipients of the Purple Heart.
What does it take to be a recipient of the Purple Heart?
To have received some wounds from an enemy during wartime.
And you both are recipients of the Purple Heart. Let's talk about how you received your Purple Heart.
I have multiple Purple Hearts, but the one that Dr. Waters and I kind of share in common happened on where he received his on Saturday, the 15th of July, 1967. I was actually coming down from the Northern I Corps area, and they were medevacing the wounded, primarily Marines, and some of us were going down to Da Nang. And there were a couple of different times where we were going to start the medevac, the actual flying out, and it got delayed for one reason or another. As it turned out, we came into Da Nang late that Saturday night, and we were being told, in fact you could see various ordnance explosions in the area, and I think it was moving into the Da Nang Air Base. But we eventually landed, but it was dark. I don't really remember what time in the morning it was though.
The same day that you got injured there in Da Nang.
Yes, that was July 15th, 1967, and the attack started at 12:20.
You told me earlier that there was multiple attacks there at Da Nang. You said about how many?
Normally about 2 or 3 a week. Normally they hit us around 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And so we normally expected it during that time, and we started gearing up for it. And this was an early attack, so we were not ready for it at all. I was working on an F4 down on I was on the north end of the ramp. The south end of the ramp, they had blown up every one of our F4s. So I was on the north end working on another F4, and I got blown off of that F4. And on the way down, I hit my foot on the leading edge. They found my heel print in the leading edge. That's how we know that. And I hit the ramp, and that's about 2 stories up, by the way, from the leading edge of an F4. So about 2 stories down, I cracked my spine, broke my foot, and slid forward on my arms. And so it was a lot of blood, and they just couldn't tell how badly I was injured until they got me to the hospital the next day.
This was only a few days before you were leaving?
Yes, I had 5 days to go. And had I known they were going to attack, I would not have been out there on the flight line.
There's casualties during these attacks that they were doing all the time?
There are always casualties, some minor, some major. Most of the major casualties we always looked at as the Marines over on Hill 327, which was across our flight line. And we looked at the Marines as catching the brunt of everything. They protected our base.
Your brother was a Purple Heart recipient as well.
Yes, he was. As all casualties are recipients of the Purple Heart.
So Purple Heart Day, is there going to be any events going on for Purple Heart Day here in Pahrump, or how should a person celebrate and honor those who've served and been wounded and received the Purple Heart?
I would just say thank every vet for everything they've done, whether they receive the Purple Heart or not.